What is up, you amazing people? It is I, Nima, and today I want to talk about a game called Sea Horizon. I picked this up last week and spent pretty much my entire weekend playing it, and honestly, I was ready to go yesterday, but had some issues just recording with my dumb computer, but we're back today, we're good to go, and I'm ready to talk about the game. But before we get into that, I do want to remind you guys, if you're into video game content, we try to release one every other day here, so think about subscribing and hitting that like button. Anyway, on with the game. So I found it interesting that Sea Horizon tried to take two different worlds, like the RPG, strategy, tactics style game, and blend it with a roguelike type game. And I gotta say something, to be honest, not every game has to be roguelike. I know it's popular right now, and that's the huge thing, but come on. But it's fine, actually, because it works in this situation. Works a little bit better than I anticipated, to be honest. I wasn't exactly hyped about the whole roguelike type thing, and if I'm also being completely honest, this game would hold up without that as well. But this does actually create an interesting loop, as you choose from different game modes, and the first one being the most attractive probably would be the adventure mode. Now this one really unlocks a lot of characters for you, as with each victory you unlock a new playable character. And you do get to learn about the character's motivation, but to be honest, there's not a lot of story here. There's some story, and it adds a little bit to the game, but it's not like each character has these deep, complex reasons for being there. A lot of it is kind of standard, to be honest. But what you also get to learn in adventure mode is how to maintain your character all the way to the end. Now what I mean by that is each thing is gauged on food. It almost runs the same as a timer, if you will, allowing you just so many moves per turn out there. And when you run out of food, you pretty much die. You have maybe a turn or two left before it will kill you. And I hate this mechanic, if I'm being honest, for multiple reasons, but we'll get into that towards the end of the video. And the thing is what you are set up with adventure mode is your end goal is fighting an enemy that is pretty much crazy high level, and you don't match up to that. So every time you play adventure mode, you will probably get to the end, but probably die. And on each death, though, you get to keep a piece of equipment, a skill, something like that translates into your next run through, until the point where you're finally able to take down the enemy. But it takes a lot of work, and you really do have to work different skills and equipment. You really have to stack and use your strategy. This is not a game for the weak-hearted, so to speak. I can be honest with you and say that on my victories, each time, it took a lot of creativity, to be honest, to actually beat these guys. And I actually had to look and learn a lot of actual tactics on how to win. It's not like something that you can power level at all. That is just not an option in this game. You have to do your research, and it's definitely one of those games that is for a more hardcore group, which I appreciate because I love this style of gameplay, and I find a lot of the other ones to be kind of easy, if I'm being honest. And this one really challenges you, which is fun, but is definitely not that accessible for newcomers. To give just a quick example of what I mean, by each turn you are given different dice that have different symbols on them, from a sword, a shield, to a mana property. And if you look at your skills, you'll see that certain skills require so many of one of these symbols, and some of them will say if you have so many sword and you have no shield, you'll do just quadruple the damage. Things like that you have to look into, and you have to see how many of those symbols are also represented on your equipment, meaning each turn you're guaranteed so many of those. Now, so essentially between all characters, you're trying to just make sure that your equipment is providing the right moves for your skill cards, and your skill cards are equipped, and they're the right ones that can provide the most damage and work best for your playstyle. This does take a while to coordinate, and so, yeah, there's a lot of strategy that goes into this game. Outside of actually learning a little bit about a character's story, adventure mode's real payoff to me is the fact that it unlocks a bunch of other characters that you can use in exploration mode. In exploration mode, you can take a team of 3 and you kind of explore the world with a generalized challenge that you're supposed to accomplish, but even that can be a little bit difficult. And I just really like going out with this team of 3, trying to blend all of their abilities to be more cohesive and more synergistic, and I don't even know if synergistic is a word, but basically to play off each other. And you don't really have to worry so much about being taken down in one battle because there's 3 of you, so you pretty much can handle a lot. And outside of the final boss, there's not a lot that can stop you in this. And you can stumble upon some really difficult enemies, but just saying that the point of exploration mode is really exploration. Now, this game has some decent graphics. I would say it's quaint. Like, it's not gonna blow you away. It's not gonna be like, wow, this game looks amazing. But it does provide a detailed, clear game with pretty straightforward visuals. I like the audio. I would say, though, there's nothing that impressive about it. It's suited for the game, put it that way. And as far as performance, this game runs great. Now, I understand that I just tackled like 3 major components of a game in about 30 seconds, but let's be honest, this type of game isn't really taxing on performance, and graphics on these kind of games also don't really matter that much, you know? And we all like the pretty graphics of like a Triangle Strategy or a Diofield or something of that nature, you know, that's comparable in this style of game. And this game is definitely not that, but I wouldn't I wouldn't dock it for the graphics that it does provide. But this game does have some bad sides to it, and one of them being the dumb food gauge. I just don't like it, and for multiple reasons. I have to say, like, yes, it adds this other layer of difficulty about it, but on the other side of it, for exploration mode, for instance, it really it tampers down the entire game because you want to explore. You have this world that is unexplored, and you want to be able to go out and find out what's in it, but you can literally die pretty easy by running out of food in like the first cave you find. Meaning, you can be exploring this cave, looking for enemies, looking for a boss, exploring, and your food will run out. You have an idea of when it's gonna happen, but this transition happens so quickly between, having a few moves to basically being dead. And I understand that there's gonna be some people who say, yeah, but that's lifelike, and this is just, adding that to it. Well, you're also fighting enemies that are animals and also humans. I mean, you'd think if you want to be lifelike, well, they just eat the animals, like they're killing them, like there's food right there. And yes, there are opportunities to refuel that food gauge of yours and to kind of replenish yourself, but it's far and few between, to be honest. And I understand that adds to the difficulty, which is cool, but I honestly appreciate that more in adventure mode, where your story is more linear, more A to B, and so exploration isn't really that important. Really, you're just trying to grind over and over and over as you die over and over. Yes, for me, I would say the gameplay, though, is a positive. I do enjoy it. I enjoy that, extra sort of difficulty that makes you use your brain a little bit to think about what skills you're going to use, think about which equipment you're going to use, and kind of blend all that to create someone really powerful that can handle that final boss. The negatives for me, like I said, it's the food gauge in exploration mode, but it's also a lack of story. Yes, there is some form of, hey, this is why you're doing this, and this is the whole character's motivation, and blah, blah, blah. But it's very simplistic. There's not a lot to it, if I'm being honest. And with these kind of games, I think the story adds so much to it because we aren't asking a whole lot out of, like I said, the graphics engine or even performance. So it's more, tactics. But tactics have to have a story, at least in my opinion. And, that's my whole opinion of this game. But I think for the price, it's a good game. And if you're somebody who enjoys tactics games, you should definitely get it. If nothing else, for the fact that it's one of the very few, tactic roguelike games I can think of, and just that whole mechanic about it makes it pretty interesting, but also for the fact that it is fun, and the unlockable characters and the way that they actually do work cohesively is actually pretty cool to check out. Now, the game, as far as value, is relatively cheap, so it's not something that I would say money should hold you back on, and if I was going to rate this game, I would give it a solid 7 out of 10, but if you are new to tactics games, then yeah, I definitely would not recommend this game, because it's a little bit more like hardcore. It's more for the veterans of that group. But anyway, that's my thoughts on Sea Horizon. Let me know if you guys have played it, if you heard of it, something you've thought about picking it up, or let me know what game you're playing now. All comments down below would be awesome. I love interacting and talking with you guys. Anyway, guys, like always, I'm wishing you health, wealth, and above all, I hope you're truly happy, because you make me happy. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.